the board. It is directly adjacent to Denver Borough, so it is one of the projects where you, and West Cocalico, so you're not in your own island, you do impact others, decisions made here are directly opposite adjacent municipalities, so the level of discussion with those municipalities would be another decision that you have to make. So, and we also discussed other items such as stormwater and complications with current requirements, and those are all things they have to work out and could impact the number of units accommodated or the amount of impervious proposed, but they won't even get to that point if there isn't further understanding on what's the overall layout. The issue of access, the current ordinance requirement is for one point of access for 20 units or less, and two points of access or more. So the discussion at the meeting is to comply with that, you would need 2 points of access based on the number of units proposed. And then, as he indicated, that would be an access on the line road, which is a PennDOT road and would be controlled by PennDOT, and trigger other evaluations to ensure that's functional. So I think maybe that's just adding. The concern was that the village overlay, if it's implemented the way the ordinance is currently worded, it should reflect something consistent with a Wabash landing.
We agree with Brett that this application of the village overlay at this location is challenging. On the other hand, the establishment of a village overlay development on this property is challenging because of the configuration of the lot. We went over and looked at Wabash Landing. That it maybe has more rectangular spaces that are suitable for that. However, the other concern we have is we're surrounded. This is single-family dwellings. This isn't. We don't have. It's not like we're attached to the middle of the village, which would allow for this mixture of housing to really be appreciated. It's kind of out on the fringe, if you will, of what is currently developed residential land. These single-family homes create, a condition that it's hard to introduce in that mixture. We feel it's harder to introduce that mixture out in this location, again, because of the configuration of land. And furthermore, I keep stressing this, but at some point in the future, this land across the railroad tracks will be zoned industrial. That's going to have an influence over the use and enjoyment of these spaces. We feel this is complementary to that, or at least allows for the transition from that land use to the residential housing, the single-family house residential housing, and it provides opportunities for people that would be working in those industrial lots to live local.
Bill said will be zoned, I think you meant will be developed industrial.
Will be developed.
Yeah, currently is zoned industrial on the opposite side. They're part of the recent Zimmerman rezoning.
Just for clarification, so this one here is 110 units,
Correct.
whereas I believe the prior plan was like
140.
Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to ask was, so these are townhomes, but 100% of them will be rentals?
Correct.
Okay.
The 140, just to clarify, was not presented to the township in any way. So I don't know what the 140.
That was an earlier concept.
No, yeah, just to clarify for
by the applicant.
Yeah, so it was not a plan that had standing or even evaluated. It was a concept somebody developed.
I think there was also, we clarified to some degree what the area was on this side of the railroad. With the field survey, the acreage, so that resulted in. And as discussed in some of the projects, would relate here to, they need to meet all current stormwater. It is karst geology. Road frontage improvements would be another thing to be discussed. Curb sidewalk are the standard requirements for a residential zone, so limits of those improvements. And then any development would have to also comply with park and rec. So those are the future issues that need to be resolved, but the current one is, how does the township see this parcel in this location being developed, and
if they're interested in a higher density or more opportunity for townhouses in this fashion, is it worth the applicant considering proposing some type of amendment or text amendment to the traditional residential zone for your consideration? I don't think they want to go through that effort and then find out later on you should talk to us. We really didn't like this density. We don't like it as a single type of unit, and we had other concerns. So
And we appreciate the opportunity for pre-application meetings to be able to speak about these things and discuss this. I mean, sometimes that opportunity isn't available, so we do appreciate that very much.
the staff has to be cautious at those points that we're not getting answers, and that's how quick it comes back to you then in terms of, well, it wasn't just interpreting current regulations, this would require some unique handling if what the applicant wants to do is viable, is outside the current standards.
I also wanted, we arranged to come up and talk with you. We understand this is, Mr. Mitchell had an opportunity to see it at the pre-application meeting, but if you feel you need to think about this a little bit, we understand that as well. We want to make sure that we are getting, your feedback and want to be able to, this is what they'd like to do. They feel this is a very marketable, desirable plan. Obviously, it'll be influenced by the refinement of the design for stormwater management, the sewer line, all those things will have an impact on the number of units. This is the type of thing that they'd like to do here, and really would appreciate your consideration of that.
Maybe, again, I agree with Bill. I don't think the board should feel you're on the spot to provide a response. I think our goal was to expedite that to the extent it's possible, but first step is presenting the information publicly, letting you ponder it. The other, and maybe you touched on it, the internal network of roadway and parking as currently proposed is all private.
The entire development would be owned and maintained as a single entity and held privately, correct?
So there is no dedicated, the current concept is,
Right.
no dedicated roadway through the development.
The only thing that we didn't clarify, and this is something that would come up, is where the terminal points for the sewer and water. So that would be, and obviously whatever that decision would be reached, the authority would reach if there was a master meter for the water. The sewer lines would be held as a lateral up to the joint connection, those types of things.
Those are all other discussions, and the authority was part of the meeting, and pre-application meeting would have to be included in all those decisions. In fact, there are authority's decisions relative to where to extend the water and sewer and how to set up future loops of their system and master plan their service area as part of this development occurring in lateral versus mains and dedicated facilities versus private. But once again, that's the detail type stuff that you don't even get to if you don't get past some of the initial hurdles.
Well, one other thing to consider when you're looking at this for the townhouse is it does allow for the establishment of density on a lot that is, and we feel it's going to be a quality development. There's a lot of open space, a lot of access to open space. And it allows you to establish some of this density in your community in an area that would be a transition point between single-family dwellings and the future industrial uses. So please consider that in your evaluation of this.
Yeah, I heard you say that the village overlay is not preferable here. It might be a bit challenging to put in there. Is it impossible in your mindset that there could be a variation of something to go in there that would, be a hybrid of village overlay, or?
I think that once we introduce single-family or other duplex-type ownership, you're going to introduce probably ownership as opposed to rental. I mean, that's maybe the biggest challenge. Obviously, the number of units would reduce relative to that because those lots would need to be of such a size. And we did go through, we spent a few minutes going through that Wallback's landing site just to see how the ownership, I mean, I don't claim to know everything about that project, I kind of drove through there and looked at it, but we understand that there's a variety of different ownership types. When, at the end of the day, I think the experience that, for instance, the folks that are in those internal blocks with the garages and the alley, they don't really, their experience of living there is not going to be dissimilar, other than they own the property, from some of this townhouse use, because of, they don't have a large open space behind their dwelling unit. They have to go to the park that's, you know, on the other side of the embankment there, or on the other side of the rise there. So we felt that this type of living arrangement would provide similar characteristics, introducing singles, semi-detached units into it. I mean, I guess the only thing I can think is the possibility of maybe along the road frontage, but even those units, we would want to have the access, we wouldn't be entitled to having multiple driveway access points. So from an aesthetic or a, you know, a character point of view, establishing maybe a different unit type along the road frontage may be a possibility. But even that's, because of the maintenance criteria and the intent to own and maintain this as a single entity, it creates a little bit of a challenge. Plus, you know, having a mixture of some single-family dwelling lots in otherwise rentable places, that connection is a little bit challenging. Is Wabash Landing, is that going to be a homeowners association?
Absolutely.
Okay, and the roads are going to be maintained by
Township.
other townships?
Alleys, private, private parking lots in the apartment area, HOA, certain pocket parks and other thing HOA, but it doesn't dedicate it. Right.
Gotcha, okay.
So,
Yeah, I mean, that's one of our concerns about the mixture of units. But, I mean, we could explore that if that's something that you'd like to see a transition. Obviously, it would reduce the number of dwelling lots, which, you know, the cost of development, it's the intent of the applicant to try to offset that, but understanding what your goals and objectives are, so.
Well, I think it gets us closer to the village overlay, and it's the intent of what the zoning was there to start with, part of it. So, you know, it's just, I just wonder if you're receptive to some, you know, being a hybrid situation.
We'd like to get your ideas for sure, and obviously you have the ultimate say on what the community looks like, so we want to make sure
We'd like to work with you, I think, to a suitable conclusion here. Hopefully everybody can have something out of this.
Thinking, I'm trying to think to resolve everything, but I guess there could be an option where within the traditional residential zone, the village overlay ratios are adjusted.
So,
I don't know,
your ordinance is, like I said, I understand the concern of having, breaking with what the criteria is as we presented here, because that opens it up for everywhere, and that, we completely understand that, but that's a good option for maybe, you know, introducing it just for that. And again, this zone is, unless I misunderstand, I think that most of the R3 zone is
and that's the
developed.
traditional residential, which is to mimic Reams, it's most of Reamstown and Stevens, the two village areas are the orange on the map, so.
Right.
The largest undeveloped area in that zone is the Memorial Park.
Correct.
Other than that, it would be Church Street and North Reamstown Road, and all the developed houses, and then within Stevens. Where, and that was the concern, whereas if this type of concept is utilized everywhere, it opens up all the yellow and all the suburban residential areas, and somebody come in, but I want to do all apartments, I want to do all townhouses, and it's a village overlay, so. And the village overlay, you know, has the other criteria, streetscape, sidewalks, and frontage, and a higher level of amenities within it, and other aspects like that.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll do further discussions on it.
So
Okay.
should I put this on for the next agenda? For
Yes,
discussion?
yeah,
And in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can forward them to me and I can get them to Mr. Smith.
Yes. Okay.
I appreciate your time very much.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you again.
Maybe one other note, we did receive an email on Foxbrook, I mentioned Foxbrook earlier. There has been some correspondence, change in ownership of the property, and therefore we were pushing to try to see if we can get clarification on the status of the prior plan. You recall that plan was getting extended with request for time extension. We did get an email from Dwight Yoder late yesterday, and maybe what I'll do is step out, I may talk to Tom Goodman and about that, and maybe come back, if he's still going, and maybe have you acknowledge the withdrawal of the plan. Before I throw that before you, but Dwight Yoder, counsel for a prior applicant, had submitted an email indicating their intent is to withdraw the plan. He copied all the other parties from his side, but did state if Tom wants more formal authorization, he can provide it. But I'll try to get clarification on whether Tom deems that adequate. If so, we'd like to get that dropped, so we're not tracking it. And the new applicant can start fresh with the.
Friend, my office is open if you will use it.
Okay, Martin text amendment discussion.
No, Alan Myers first.
Alan Myers, I'm sorry, Alan Myers.
So gentlemen, this is a change order to the original costs for additional building work that will be needed. We discussed that earlier. I told the board on that individually.
Mhm.
So just need to,
So the motion would be to approve the change order submitted in the amount of $29,714.05 for additional milling work to be done at Homestead. I'll make that motion.
That's prior to them laying the new asphalt, so.
Yeah, they gotta
so it
mill it.
adheres better.
Yep.
Any comments or questions?
Who seconded that?
I will say.
You will second that?
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Sorry.
For the next, for the Martin text amendment, Mr. Chairman, we did have a question that was on the floor previously about how many other farms fitting the Martin scenario are in the general commercial zone of the township. I think Mr. Mitchell, you
Yeah,
were
Miss-
prepared to address that.
Mr. Martin, good morning again. I apologize that this is taking so many visits on your part. You know, there was a question on the floor at the last meeting about how many farms there are in the township that are being farmed by the property owner that is in the commercial district. You're almost unique in that. There is one other one, just a half or 3/4 mile down the road that has a farm market there. It's, you know, a lot smaller in size, I think maybe in the 25-acre neighborhood, but that is one other. You know, the research that we did, all the other farmland in the commercial district is owned by, you know, a non-farmer that's being farmed by someone else. So it's not a control issue similar to what you have where you own it and farm it in the same situation. So, you know, a couple other points of note that, you know, we found as well. During your presentations there, it wasn't clear to me, but there is a large chunk of your farm already zoned agriculture. And, you know, that term I think was being tossed around a little loosely by Mr. Yoder, and, you know, I wasn't wasn't real clear on that. I went back and looked at tapes from the last 2 meetings just to see exactly what he was trying to say there. And, you know, that puts a little different light on it to me. With a chunk of your farm being zoned ag, you know, I feel that you're entitled to the same rules that other farms are in the township. So, you know, I think we consulted our solicitor, the manager polled the board, and we've come to some conclusions where we want to go forward with that. So.
That being said, I have prepared a motion for the board to consider. As you stated, you know, the board was polled individually. So that motion would be to entertain a text amendment to the conservation and general commercial zones, allowing farm occupation to be permitted as a special exception and as defined by and in accordance with the East Cocalico Township's ordinance, Chapter 220, zoning, Article 4, specific use criteria, Sections 220-87, farm occupations. So what that's saying is, you know, this would be allowed as a special exception to you, and that would go to the zoning hearing board. You know, and then as far as the changes to the 4,000 square feet, could also go to the zoning hearing board as a variance.
And I will make that motion.
I'll second it. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay.
We, just for your curiosity, we pulled the 1968 township zoning map out up here, Mr. Martin.
I'm sure that's quite interesting.
It is. You know, you're welcome to take a look at it. If you want to go out in the hall and take a look at it, just to see different portions of your property, how they've changed. That current ag zoning on the farm wasn't ag back in 1968. It was something else. Was it residential? Or?
Some of it was business one, some of it was.
Yeah, so it's over time, over 50 years, things evolve, I guess. So you're welcome to take it out and look at it. Just don't leave with it.
Yeah, if I could, that's really neat. Thank you. What I'll do is I'll just take a picture of it. It's just cool to see.
Yeah, no, it really is.
In fact, for additional information, it's a two-sided document for everybody else in it. This was the extent of our zoning ordinance back in the 60s. Now you see what I have to deal with now. That's the 5-inch thick book on my desk has replaced that. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. That's why I keep it around.
So I can take it out, take a look?
Yeah.
Sure. Don't leave with it.
No.
That's the only one I have.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it might be fun.
Yes.
Probably was.
Yeah.
Those
Thank you.
things we need to scan,
Yes.
they need to be scanned in.
Exactly.
So it should be in an Upstar.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well,
so
that's
meet-
the use paper, you need a special scanner for that.
Yeah.
Meeting calendar, rotating the fire companies once a month for the remainder of the year because of COVID-19, so we can get more people to attend the meetings. We're considering our next meeting on August 20th, Smokestown Fire Company, and September 3rd will be here. September 17th, Stevens. October 1st here. October 15th, Jamestown Fire Company. November 5th here. November 19th, Smokestown. December 3rd here. And December 17th at Stevens.
So the reason I have this on is, you know, I'd like to advertise all in one shot instead of individually to save the taxpayers' money. I do want to point out to you that I did speak with all 3 fire companies, and Jamestown did come back and let me know there would be an approximate $200 fee for their cleaning services, so I just want to make you aware of that.
Okay, what's the wish of the board?
Just for clarification for the public too, the intent here is, because we're so limited in this size in terms of how many people we're allowed in based on the guidelines from the governor, it's to give us the ability to go to a larger space at least once a month if more people want to attend. I'll make that motion.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? Yes,
Uh,
Jude?
To me, the website is so confusing. When you look at our website and that yellow block comes up, it's not real clear. It says, click here for more information, and then it says the meeting's on YouTube, and then later on it says it's not on YouTube.
I believe she has corrected that.
No, I looked
But
at it
she
again
still
this
has
morning.
not corrected that?
I
All
looked
right.
at it again this morning, it's very confusing,
My
and that
apologies.
yellow page does not stay up long. It very often changes the picture, and you can't get it back. It's very confusing. Is there any chance you're ever gonna get on Facebook? It's so much quicker for people to, and so much more popular to look at something on Facebook than to look on a website. We gotta get a little more modern.
We got the new website up and running last year,
Yeah, it's a
so
whole
we
new
made it to the
discussion.
20th century. We're getting there.
We'll
That's
get there.
promising,
We'll get there.
but Facebook is so much easier to use.
Yeah.
There's a motion on the table.
Motion, any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
And
Thank you.
we'll, Jim, we'll look at that right away, because it's important to get the right information out right now.
That's correct.
Thank you.
My apologies, that directive was given at the last meeting, and I thought that was corrected, so.
Okay,
Well, that
next.
shows that you guys don't look at the website either.
Well, we have the information in front of
We
us.
live it.
Yeah.
Okay, PennDOT winter maintenance agreement.
So, you know, this is a 5-year contract. Every year they require that you execute, authorize, and sign their agreement. As you can see, it did go down slightly from their anticipated. She did include year 1 there, so for year 1, it was, they predicted for year 2 to be $13,828, when in reality it is $13,489.
And last year we made out.
Right.
Now they want something.
No, they want some of it
Now
back.
some of it back, that's correct. So I just,
Okay, the motion would be to authorize the execution of 2020-21 municipal winter agreement in the amount of $13,489.98 with PennDOT for snow removal on state roads. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
next item, gentlemen, is,
ING.
yes, with Mr. Reber retiring, that leaves an open space to the first alternative at the intermunicipal group committee. And they're suggesting that the new administrator, Mr. Scott Carl, take that place for the remainder of 2020.
Okay. Motion would be to appoint Scott Carl Senior as the first alternate to the Ephrata ING committee. That's an intermunicipal agreement committee, that's for the sewer system.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Just, I guess, for informational purposes, he's the gentleman that took over Terry Reber's spot as administrator in the authority across the hall. So Terry retired after a lot of years of service. So,
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on, Chief. Police Department.
finally.
Finally, wake up.
Don't have a whole lot of stuff, but one thing might generate some conversation, but, just thought of this sitting here and talking about a new 140 townhouse development, which I have no comment on one way or the other. From the police department standpoint, and from my standpoint, I sit through a lot of land planning and a lot of developing. And I ask the board to remember and keep in mind that when you do that, it puts additional, I don't want to call it burden, because that's not the right word. Additional resources are needed, so as we're adding residential homes, we need to consider the possibility of expanding the police department as we go. Providing coverage to those places. Again, I'm not anti-development, please don't take it that way, I don't mean it that way at all. It's just something to keep in mind as you're going through this and all these different developments and areas that you're going through. It's more patrols, more people, it's more issues potentially. So,
It's a stresses on your department.
correct. So the only other thing I have is, we received a donation recently, and then I'll talk about that when the time is appropriate, on amounts and the ideas that I had. But I kind of spoke to the person who provided it, and I think the idea is leaning towards the potential purchase of body cameras for the police department, which is where policing is going. If you've seen recently, numerous departments in Lancaster County have gotten them. I think the latest one might be Liddittsboro. I think everybody's trying to move towards that, not only for protection of the public and transparency, but for protection of the officers and accusations and those type of things, and for any incident that may occur. So I got a proposal received a proposal, I believe it was the beginning of last year, from GTAC, is the company that we get our in-car computers from, and I've heard good things about their in-car video systems. When I spoke about that with the sales rep, he showed me the unit and the camera, the body camera that's worn, and it's about the average size that all the other departments have. It's the same thing. They're ruggedized, waterproof, the whole deal. And our in-car camera systems in the vehicles are at least 10 years old, if not older. I tried and I scrambled for documentation and I looked in past files, and they're that old that I can't even find anything. When I initially had the company, it was L3, those are the kind of cameras we have now, which got bought out by another company recently. But when that salesman was here showing me the information, he was shocked. He literally said, "I can't believe you still have the second generation cameras that are functioning in your cars." And they do function, and they are working. But I am constantly either replacing a part, which it's impossible to get, or switching something out, or they are used every time the lights go on, and they have functioned very well for us. But it's time. It's time to move forward with the new technology that uploads to the cloud, so we don't have to have an officer sitting downloading videos of traffic stops or DUIs or whatever it might be. And the technology, they're integrated. The body cameras will go off when an officer gets out of the car, or I should say go on when the officer gets out of the car, the lights go on, and certain things happen. There's all different criteria that we can set. So to replace the cameras in our cars, for the 8 cars that we would need, and to purchase, they found that purchasing a body camera for each officer is a better way to go. That way it's associated with that officer, and there's no question about what happened, maintenance, that type of thing. And I'll be honest with, as it goes, an officer that has his own equipment, I won't say they don't take care of their equipment, but passing it back and forth can cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be 16 body cameras at this point, chargers, all the startup fees and everything else. The total amount would come out to $69,207. Now I know that's a shocking number for me to sit here and just come up with. I believe we could work that out in our current budget without adding to it, from various things that we have saved and can do. Again, that's for a future discussion. I am putting it out there in reference to, I would really like to move in this direction. I would really like to move in this direction this year. The one thing that I'm still working on, and I got a quote, somewhat of a quote from our upfitter for the car equipment. I say somewhat of a quote because the time span that he gave for potential install of the camera has a lot to do with removing the old, putting the new in. From what I understood from their technicians when they were here fixing or putting the new light bar on the one car, the GTAC systems are the simplest and easiest to install in the car. And when I talked to the representative that will help us with the GTAC systems, he said there's a potential of training somebody in the department to install them, which could potentially save quite a bit of money. Train that person for $1,200, $1,500, as opposed to bringing another company in, take 3 to 8 hours, depending on the car and the configuration, at $95 an hour for 8 cars. But I still have to investigate that, because I don't know, and to be honest with you, the old equipment, the old wires don't need to be removed, because we cut, and those type of things. But that's all to be talked about at a later time. I'm just initially letting you know that's the proposal. The body cameras and the in-car cameras are integrated, instead of just purchasing body cameras and having them a completely separate thing. It would be, having an old system and the new body cameras would be quite cumbersome. So, like I said, I think with some sit-down meetings with Judy in reference to the budget, that we can potentially work something out to not increase our budget by an astronomical amount.
So this price is body cameras and car cameras?
Correct.
The whole thing,
Yes.
okay.
So, something to think about, and again, I will get solid numbers as we go, get information from the install and those types of things, but I think
Well, it sounds like something we have to do,
I think it would be beneficial for everyone,
yeah.
from insurance standpoint, from a
Liability.
protection standpoint, from a liability
In
standpoint.
the current national environment, it's almost,
Yes.
I think it's almost a requirement.
I feel the same way.
Yep.
So is this something you and Judy can have prepared for the next meeting? I'll have it on the agenda.
I'm on vacation coming up, and I'm in a conference for a week after that,
So
so.
that would be no.
That
So
would be
how about
no.
the weekend, how about the meeting
I'm
after
hoping,
that?
yes.
So that
The
would
next
be,
meeting here.
so that would be the first meeting in September. Okay.
That's what I hope to do.
Chief, quick question, just for clarification for the public. The old system that you used, if you can comment without, of course, giving details, did the old system help you guys in terms of getting out of any potential legal issues?
Oh,
Were they
absolutely.
very beneficial?
It helped us tremendously with false allegations of things. And, well, I mean, personally, it helped several times where things were said and you watch the video and that's not really what happened. And I know that another very large department in the area, from what the chief said at a meeting I attended, is the officers were basically begging for the body cameras to cut down on that type of complaint. So again,
And it all goes up to the cloud, so
it
we
goes
don't
up
have
to
to
the
download
cloud,
it.
it can be downloaded.
Yeah, that was the thing when they first came out.
And that was very, very expensive
Yeah.
previously. Now it is, and I don't want to discount this, but it's $9,600 for a 2-year program. That has come down tremendously.
Yeah.
For
Because
4,000. It used to
before you
be-
had to have a unit in your department to download the information off the cameras, which was,
And that's what we still do, so at least, one of the corporals has to be a supervising officer to remove the card from the lock unit, download the card, then find the video. It can be cumbersome, and again, before they start to malfunction and we're missing things that we need for court, I want to move to
yeah.
have the ability to not have that happen. So
Yeah, I
it's
think-
time, I mean, they serve their purpose, but it's time.
Yeah, and I think it's important to know from a data storage perspective, voice is not a problem. High definition video takes a tremendous amount of space. So that's why those costs on an annual basis, that's a lot of space on the server.
But again, the liability coverage is tremendous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Any questions of the chief? Go ahead.
Are you satisfied with what Josh Parsons has noted on his page on Facebook about the encrypting?
I did not see his specific, and I read the article, and unfortunately, I was off of it on Tuesday, so either Monday or Tuesday, when they had the meeting at the county commissioners, in reference to the radio encryption. And they're going to keep the radios encrypted for the police department,
We should.
which is a really good thing on our end of. And again, when you talk about transparency, there's a couple different things. There's a proposal to keep it encrypted for 30 minutes, which would have protected us somewhat. But the transparency part of it is those records are part of the case, and they can be subpoenaed and right to know issues and that kind of thing. So eventually it is transparent. But when you have officers going from, and this is in a different state, but one part of the state or one part of the city, and listening on an app to their dispatch and their communications, so then they start a riot on the other side of the city because they know the resources have been deployed other places, is a dangerous thing. No, we haven't had riots or anything like that, but it's just a safety issue, plain and simple. And it's also protecting the victims in the case.
And the officers too.
But the victims, information and that type of thing, locations, that's important to protect also. So I will look at its page.
It's on my Friends of the
Okay.
Cocalico Police group on
Okay.
Facebook if you want to.
All right, thank you.
Right,
Nothing on this.
nothing, okay. Zoning, Tony,
Can we take for an motion?
do you have a motion, Brad?
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were done with that. I didn't have any follow-up questions for the chief. I made a phone call to Cocalico Township solicitor in response to the Foxbrook plan. And that would be the Foxbrook Village Overlay Plan that was submitted and been in active process and had a deadline for action pending. And based on the email and correspondence received by Dwight Gilder, the applicant's attorney, correspondence indicates that on behalf of my client, please withdraw the village overlay plan. Thank you for your patience and cooperation as the buyer evaluated different options. And once again, this property was sold successfully. So in light of that, I would recommend that you pass a motion to acknowledge the withdrawal of the Foxbrook Village Overlay Plan based on correspondence received from the applicant's attorney dated August 5th, 2020.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you.
Just as an aside on that, Penny, now that it's changed ownership, so I'm wondering if everything's paid in full from all the billing that went out previously.
Well, I know, with Liz's passing, Arlene did jump on that, and a lot of those developer invoices has gone out. Judy has a small staff here. I will make sure that she gets on that ASAP and go through those.
Yeah, I wonder now.
I can tell you that they were billed out through May 1st. Any bills that we received dated May 1st or prior will bill.
So it would just be the last couple months of
Were
any
they
work.
received then?
I would have to check if it was paid.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we got money on that, right?
Well, that was, no, probably not. That was anything done. Nothing was processed, so we collected no security on that.
Okay.
Basically, it would be review fees and planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately. Okay.
There was a lot of that.
Mhm. Zoning officer,
Yes.
Mr. Longo.
Good morning, everybody. I will have a full report like I usually do at the next meeting of the month. But one or two things I just wanted to mention to the board. To date, we have 27 new homes constructed here in the township. The majority of those are Heatherwoods, the others are Wabash Landing, and a few singles in between here and there. There were 40 permits, applications, and 35 issued for the month. So another busy month here in the township. One thing I'll put out there also, we had an application request from Redner's Split Farm down there on 272. We put in 2 diesel fuel pumps, and that permit is ready for issue. They are aware that traffic impact fees apply, and they told me about that. We should be expecting checks for the permit possibly next week, and then move ahead with that project. They're basically installing a diesel fuel tank with a standalone 2-pump island, and I believe 2 of the existing pumps under the existing pavilion area will be converted to diesel also. Looking for that diesel market. Okay?
Okay.
And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Anybody have questions? Yeah, June.
Tony, I want to thank you for getting the Fox Farm cleaned up. It makes such a difference in the neighborhood. It's incredible how fast you got that done. I truly appreciate
Well,
it.
thank you, I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
It doesn't always happen that quick, June, but I'm glad it did.
Well, thank you. It looks much better.
Thanks. You're welcome.
And one other thing, the property on the corner of Kurtz Road and 272 North Reading Road,
Yes,
are there plans there for stormwater management
there are no
with the way it
plans.
is now?
Well, as it stands now, the only thing that the owner had come to me for was a demolition permit to remove that old building. As you know, it was gone. I am not aware of any potential project as of yet. Basically, what they're doing, grinding up all the material, grading it out, and just get everything stabilized so we don't have any problems on that site. There is quite a bit of interest in that corner. I've had 3 other potential buyers ask me about what's going on, and I put them in contact with the owner, so we'll see what happens.
Is that, there's a little roadway, is that a town road that goes to the buildings in the back?
No, it's all private property. That's a 4-acre lot. In addition, well, total is 4 acres in size, but there are 2 separate deeded parcels. There's a single residence, that's one single parcel. Then there's a business at the far end of that site. That's part of the rest of the lot, which is kind of horseshoe shaped, and it encompasses that single residence. There are lease agreements to those 2 structures. They're going to remain, as far as I know. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, any other questions of Tony? Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Roadmaster.
Can I ask one more thing? Do we have there's 2, what do they call those? Donation boxes on that property. Do we have a regulation regarding people just plopping those things wherever they want?
Well, we don't have a regulation in the ordinance, but I have had calls from property owners saying, why are they on my property? So I've made calls in the past to the numbers on those boxes and tell them if they don't remove them within 24 hours, I'll tell them where they can pick them up and they can pay storage fees.
Because whoever put those 2 there also put one, and I know it's not East Cocalico, I know it's not Adamstown, I know it's not Lancaster County, but in the park and ride at the end of 272, the same day that those 2 boxes were put in, one was put in that park and ride, in the handicap spot.
Right.
And I called DOT in Berks County, and that was removed immediately. So there's no reason why they can't take those 2 out.
No
Especially with now, with people not being able to donate to Goodwill and whatever
Sure.
because of COVID. People are dumping all kinds of garbage at those boxes, and I just think they're an eyesore.
Now, technically, it's a private property issue,
Uh-huh,
and that's
yeah.
why when I get a
Yeah.
call and somebody says, hey, why did the township put that box there? Tell them, no, we didn't, and I can make a phone call to try and help get it removed, but that's what I've done in the past.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay. Road master report. You don't have anything, Tony, on
At
that?
this time, I don't, I'll give you a full report at the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Financial administrator report.
Something new.
Yeah.
Something new.
Get this up for you, which one do you want, the actual first budget?
Yes, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, I know this is long anticipated, and I may not have all answers for you, but for any questions that you have, I will certainly do the research and get back to you with answers. The first thing I'd like to point out is,
Hop up and take the driver's seat.
the first thing I'd like to point out is where we are in the year. Through July 31st, we have 213 days. There's 366 days in this year since it's a leap year. So as you're looking at the percentages in the far right column, to be on target, we should be at about 60%. Okay? Now that isn't true in all cases. For instance, for property tax revenues, we received most of those revenues in April. So the fact that that's 93%, that's the reason for it. Other things, the way cash flows, they may look low, but it could be because we receive the money once a year in a certain month. And I'll try to go over that stuff as I go through. I want to point out that all revenues, I want to do some disclosures, I should say. So included in this report are all revenues deposited to the bank through July 31st, 2020, okay? It includes all checks and the expenses that were cut through August 5th, and that includes the payroll on August 5th. What is not included in here is July tax collections. The tax collector usually submits his receipt between the 10th and 15th of the month, so it will be included in the report for the next meeting. And I also want to let you know that over the last week, my focus has been on getting information into the system, so it will be included in the report. There will be corrections needed because I didn't get to do a whole lot of analysis. All right, so going through this, for the real estate transfer taxes, can you see that, or do I need to blow it up a little bit?
No, that's good.
Okay. So for the real estate transfer taxes, this line looks a little low. The receipt for July is not in there, and that is $23,268.69. So with that included, it will definitely get us closer to our on-target percentage of 60%. Earned income, the July collections are not in there. Those are $52,203. Again, that'll bump that up. It was pretty close to begin with. Local services tax, that is something the tax collector remits to us. So again, July collections are not in those numbers. And returns are due on July 31st. So even though that looks like there's only 26% there, it'll probably go up to closer to 50 to 60% once I get the July receipts in, since that comes in quarterly. All right, so interest, I'm sure everybody will be concerned about. Is it going? Okay. Oh, I see, I can see it on the screen. Okay. Okay, so interest. You can see those numbers are low, and I'm sure we expected that simply because the rates have dropped. I can let you know that on the money market funds, in January, the rate was 1.76%. In April, it dropped down to 0.25%. For the regular accounts at the bank, the rates in January were 0.3%, and they dropped down to 0.1%. So I would anticipate if we get 25% of our budgeted revenues for interest, we'll be lucky. I think that's where that's going to come in. Okay. On the next page, the first thing that stuck out to me was the state grant. We don't have any revenue on that line yet, and that is because that money typically comes in September. So I'm talking about this line here. Yes. The state grant pension, $189,000. So we should get that in about, yes, another
Around
4 to 6 weeks.
Be under
Sometimes it's higher.
Foreign fire insurance,
What line are you on?
it is down 101355007. Let me find it, not clean it out, right here, right here. So this is zero because this is actually a reimbursement. We haven't had any expenses go out, therefore we wouldn't have any revenue coming in. So it's fine because the expense side will be lower as well.
So this is the one that's the in and out, correct?
Correct,
This is
yes.
the fireman's relief check that's received, and that's just the wash that comes in, goes
Yeah.
right out again.
So, so that's not a concern. And there are a couple situations like that. Okay, page 3. And if you want to discuss something, if you see something that you want to discuss that I'm not covering, please let me know. Okay, state, oh, I did that one already. get to the next page. Now, I noticed on the subdivision and zoning fees, they are a little bit low. You can see that they're at 17.3%, but then when I go down here to the building permits, that revenue is actually high. So I am not sure if I might have some revenues miscoded, or Tony might be able to explain better than that because of the shutdown, that a lot of construction wasn't going on, but a lot of people are planning for when things reopen. I don't know if that's fair to say.
I think it would be fair to say that literally we were shut down for 2 months, 2.5 months, and it had to have an effect on the market, and hopefully we'll bounce back, but it looks like it is because we're busy.
Okay.
So number-wise, we should be.
And to that fact, just so the board knows, we have made some coding changes. We have talked with our auditor, and we are trying to correct things as we go to give a true light of situations and put things where they actually should be. Yes. So numbers might be thrown off this year because we are correcting stuff.
And as we find things, we'll also make note of those, so when we do the budget for 2021, we put things in the correct place. Okay, for permits, highways, streets, you can see that we are way over budget on the charges for salt. And that is because at the end of 2019, Adamstown Borough was billed for salt for the last 2 years. So that is why we have that nice jump on that line. Okay, all the pool revenues are in through July 31st. And you can see that we are at 75%. This is another thing that you have to take cash flow into consideration. Revenues only come in for, May, June, July, August. The reason I want to point out this is low, and this probably won't go much higher than this. This is probably final numbers. But you can see the daily fees line.
Yeah.
Revenue for the year is $15, and that's because we made the decision to only honor memberships and not allow people to come in with daily passes. So that pretty much covers the $11,000 shortage.
Thanks to COVID-19.
Yes, that had a big effect on a lot of things.
It's like the pool share was quite a bit more than last year or expected. Was is that your?
I think it was just a matter of the type of memberships people were buying.
Yeah, there were quite a few more pool shares this year.
More families joining rather
Maybe
than
because more pools are closed,
individuals.
like Adamstown pool is closed.
Yeah,
Well, that's the one where they can
go to
pay extra to
Denver
go
or
to
us.
Denver or Reevestown. It's quite a bit more.
Yeah, quite a bit more.
And I can verify that to make sure I
Yeah,
did everything right.
because we got to give half of that to Denver.
Oh, I see. I will double check that for
Yeah,
sure.
it all comes here, then they get there, yeah.
We keep half and they get half.
Okay. I will definitely go through that
I
again
see
before we
what
pay
they
them.
sold over there, they keep it all, but then send us half.
Okay,
Because we sell more.
all right. So now we can look at total revenues, and that is the top line here. Right now, we're at 57.79% of revenues collected for the year. And like I said, we should be at 58.2. So I feel we're on track, but we anticipate, as we become more effective by COVID, that may be low for the year. Okay, so on to expenses. I did notice that insurance expenses were under budget,
Oh, yes.
except for the bonding. I'm not sure why. It seems in every category, whether you look at management or financial administration or the tax collector, the bonding rates have been higher than what was budgeted. So I'm not sure if for some reason.
Well, they changed my bonding from 2 million to 3 million.
Yeah, we upped the bonding.
We upped the bond and cost of bonds might have gone up.
So I just feel that's something we should look at when we do the budget to be
Next
sure that we
year.
get
Well, we'll
correct
call
rates.
ahead and get correct numbers.
Yeah, okay. Supplies for the tax collector are a little high, and that is probably because we had a change in that position and he was trying to set up his office. That would make sense. On to page 6, unless somebody has questions.